This is the most fertile man in Africa. At 67 years old, Paul has 10 wives, 98 children and 568 grandchildren. A man who built an entire village with just one man. Such a large family. Do you know how they live? Paul, who is 67 years old, lives in a poor village in Uganda. Because of the backward thinking of the time, Paul married his first wife at the age of 18. After that, he basically took a wife every 4 or 5 years. Today, the oldest wife is a year older than him, and the youngest wife is younger than many of his grandchildren. To keep the whole family running, Paul has also worked very hard. He built a very large house for himself and his wife, one room each, and never favored one over the other. And his own children's houses were built around them. Because of financial constraints, his son's house was only made of mud and weeds to build them. From a distance, the dense houses look like a small village. Now my oldest son has become a family. He also has his own children. The youngest son is still in school. The huge family expenses are also a big headache for Paul, so he can only encourage his children to plant more land, to raise more livestock to make ends meet. Because he has the absolute position in the family, his children are also more obedient. Now the family has dozens of cows and hundreds of sheep. Because of a chance encounter, Paul also found a business opportunity. He also started his own lamb kebab business in the city. Dad says he will continue to open more lamb kebab stores, so he doesn't have to work at home. You can enjoy the benefits of fishing. It seems that a man who can marry 10 wives, he's got a good head on his shoulders. Paul assigned each wife in the family. Each wife was assigned a job. Some wives were assigned to farming. Some wives were responsible for fetching water. In short, everyone had their own task. Paul said that only when everyone acts, the family can only function properly. He has more than 500 grandchildren. It's also one of his biggest headaches, because there are so many of them. Paul can hardly call them by name. Sometimes he had to call them by their code names, when the grandchildren had nothing to do. They also go to town to do some small business. Paul said he wants to develop their business acumen from an early age, so that they could be as happy as he was in the future. But as they get older, Paul is now a bit overwhelmed. He originally wanted to marry another wife, but in view of his old age and health, so later also gave up the idea. And his wives have a high opinion of Paul, were also very high. They all thought that Paul was the most capable man in Africa. They also followed him willingly. That's why he gave birth to so many children for them. With more and more children of his own, Paul today has to build a house for his children almost every few months, but he now has the power to do so. Now with his control running at high speed, the family's life is getting better and better.